What is up, everyone? I apologize for the wait. We are a little bit over time. We were supposed to go live at 8:30 or 7:30 Pacific time, but we're slightly late, a few minutes late. I had to get some things done backstage before we were able to go live. But everyone, this is 49er Minded. Bashar, aka 49er Minded, all of his handles, YouTube and Twitter, are in the description. Go follow him if you haven't already. I mean, great 49ers content creator. Glad to have him on. How are you doing tonight, Bashar? Excited to talk 49ers football. I mean, a lot going on right now.
First of all, thank you for having me on. It's always great to do guest spots with new people. I've never collabed before, so I truly
Yeah.
appreciate that. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's always great to network with other 49er fans, and doing good, man. This is the best I felt all day, so let's do this.
Yeah. I mean, first time collabing, so that's great. Like you said. But yeah, a lot going on because we are in the middle of 4 games through the season. The 49ers just had a win against the Rams. But let's get right into it. There was some bad news. Colton MicKivitz, sorry, I don't know why I said that. Colton MicKivitz sprained his MCL, and that's the same thing like Al-Shaair also had a sprained MCL. So it's a little bit common among the 49ers players. So now the 49ers are down to their third string left tackle, which is Jaylen Moore at this point. Depth is running a little bit low. So how do the Niners fare against the Panthers? Because they do have Brian Burns. They have a few talented players. And in the future, because a sprained MCL is out for like 6 weeks. So they're going to be out without Trent Williams and MicKivitz for a few weeks.
I'm a big O-line guy. That was a position I played in high school. I started off playing D-line, but then I moved over to O-line, and
Right.
I'm always watching and keep my eye on what the O-line does, and I'm always hoping for the 49ers to one day build a great offensive line. It's just a big passion of mine that I focus on when I watch football. And, I'm watching the game and I'm like, people are like going into the game like, oh, no way in hell. After that terrible performance, Jimmy goes into the Rams game without Trent Williams. No way in hell we're going to put points on the board. I was like, well, let's see. I don't think Colton MicKivitz is all that bad. Not that I think he's great or anything like that.
Right.
But here we are. We're in the game. I'm watching it. And next thing I know, I see, Colton MicKivitz is out of the game, and with and they said a possible knee injury, and then when Jaylen Moore walks in, we all cringed probably as Niner fans because we know how bad he looked, but in this game he looked good, and in general the old line looked really, really nice. Is it sustainable? Great question. I don't think it is, but who knows? Maybe the old line finally matures and picks things up. I'd love to see it. I mean, I love what I saw from Banks. But Jaylen Moore, I'm not really the most confident in, I'll be honest. So maybe they put Burns on him and Burns abuses him. It might be scary for Jimmy G in this game.
Well, and I do think when he did come in, it was the end of the third. And if you look at what the offense did late in the fourth quarter, they really only scored 3 points offensively. Now, even with Colton MicKivitz in there, they still in the second half haven't been a great second half team. So it really wasn't the case with Jaylen Moore. What I did see, if you go back and look at the film, what they were doing to game plan around Jaylen Moore being in there was they were doing a lot of quick passes. They were doing a lot of running the ball. They weren't putting him in situations where he was one-on-one. A lot of times I saw that. They were chipping the defensive end with George Kittle, which could be a big role for the 49ers. Could be a big role for George Kittle, is just blocking. Like, we've seen him not get a lot of work, and this is why. Maybe Kyle Shanahan is saying, let's reserve him for the blocking game because he doesn't trust the left tackle position. You're going to have to eventually, and it's going to be scary, but it's going to be hard. I think the way to beat this Brian Burns, beat Brian Burns, which really is the only, he has 3 sacks on the year, and the rest of the Panthers defensive line is 6 sacks combined. So only 3 sacks outside of Brian Burns. So not a great defensive line, but the way you beat Brian Burns is short passes, I think. And I think that's going to be fine because the Panthers defense isn't that great. But my fear is in the future, when you do face good defenses, how is it going to turn out?
Exactly, and a lot of people, there's people on the fire Kyle Shanahan train and whatever.
Nah.
I think there's these knee jerk reactions from Niner fans I noticed, and not that
Yeah.
I think I'm better than any other Niner fan because I've been watching for so long, but due to my experience of playing and just watching, I've known that you have to have I know that you have to have some patience within you when it comes to the NFL in general,
Right.
especially with the team that you love, and not to have those crazy knee jerk reactions. But the reason why I bring that up is Shanahan does a really good job with the line coach. They work hand in hand with scheming around certain things in terms of deficiencies of the offensive line, like you were mentioning earlier, with the way they were handling things with Jaylen Moore in the lineup, and so the coaching staff gets a lot of credit for that, in my opinion. And even though our O line on paper is young and inexperienced, so far in general in the real games, not what we saw in the preseason, but we're doing things, to make our O line look better than it actually is, which I like in scheme wise. Now, I don't want Kittle back there all the time, and I was somebody on Instagram blamed me to make it sound like I'm this guy who whines and complains about George Kittle not getting the ball. Like, I'm the last guy who rants about George Kittle not getting the ball. You must have me confused with somebody else, but. He has been out there helping a lot in the blocking game. Right. From what I understand, though, he was only in on 3 passing plays for this past game. So that's not that big of a deal if he's only helping out on 3 passing plays as an inline blocker. What I did like from Kittle, though, this last game, even though he wasn't really getting the ball and tearing it up in the receiving game, he was really, really nice as far as his downfield blocking. If you like those blocks he made on that Debo play, that big Debo touchdown and a few other plays, he was doing some excellent blocking down the field, and I love seeing that. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how we handle things against the Panthers, and overall in general with this Panther team. I know a lot of people say they suck, but they're one of those
talent. Yeah,
they do have some good players, and it wouldn't surprise me if they're one of those trap game type of teams. Not saying they're going to beat us, but I don't think that it's a gimme that teams steamroll them every week either.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm not really too worried about this game. I'm worried about in the future because you got the Chiefs who might put Chris Jones outside. They do that quite a bit. You've got the Chargers. If they can get that defensive line healthy, they've got Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. So it's going to be interesting. And there has been times when Jaylen Moore has looked good. So if he can stay to that consistent, if he can become consistently not even that good, like not even elite, just consistently okay, then yeah, I think we could win a lot of games. So,
and what game was it last year where Jaylen Moore started? Was it the Texans game that he played at tackle?
I remember
seeing him play.
No, it was the Colts game. Colts he started,
the Colts
I know,
game.
and he played pretty bad that game.
I could have sworn there was some game last year in a real game. I can't remember what it was, but I thought he actually looked pretty good. I was like, okay, that's a building block that we can build upon for the future. But then he had such a bad camp. So I mean, I want people on our team to do better and to progress. I know a lot of people were saying Jaylen Moore sucked and they got scared of him being on the field. But hopefully, we had no choice but to root for the guy and for him to do well. I mean, otherwise we're going to be doomed. Somebody asked me some question in the chat, Grandizer. I don't know if you want to address it or not.
But yeah. Let's do that real quick. I'll find it. I know what you're talking about.
And let me say hi to Mariah.
Mariah.
And David McNew and some people that I know from that.
Yeah, so let's get into the chat right now. We got 49er Throwback. Thanks for retweeting me on Twitter. Really appreciate it. We got Damian Lee. I think we need a bruiser back for goal line situations. Kyle doing that shotgun on goal line was weird. Yeah, it was like the George Kittle one where he didn't get 2 feet in. I believe that was shotgun. That play against the Rams.
Well, we all know Jimmy G has those elite quarterback sneaks, right? The one elite trait of his game. I mean, was on the when we were 1 yard away from the goal for getting the touchdown, and then we didn't get it. So
that's true. Sorry. 49ers Throwback. Tony Culp. I haven't seen you in a while. Oh, actually, he changed his profile. That's why. I do see you that's a regular on the stream. So
is that? I don't know. I think I've seen a Bryant Culp around too. I'm not sure if they're related.
Yeah. They. I don't know. I think they might be husband and wife. I'm.
Okay. There you
go. Bashar, first time on the show. Maybe we ask him get to know Bashar questions. How did you become a 49ers fan? Who is your all-time 49er favorite 49ers player? One offense and one defense. How many 49ers jerseys do you own?
That's a good question. I was gonna say I like this guy's screen name Grandizer 12 because a lot of people in the United States don't know who Grandizer is or what Grandizer is. It was kind of like this. It's a Japanese cartoon that was really famous,
Oh
and
yeah.
I only knew about it because my relatives that grew up in the Middle East were always talking about how that was like the big and famous cartoon in the 80s, and it never made it big in the United States. I think I
Yeah.
researched it, and only one little small TV outlet in the East Coast and the South was playing that show at one point in time. But Grandizer, for those who follow Japanese anime type stuff, is pretty well known outside of the United States. But how did I become a Niner fan? My brother was really, really getting into football while I was in towards my last years of elementary school. And see, the thing is, I grew up in the Bay Area, and I'm old enough to have watched all the Super Bowls, but I didn't because my family was oblivious to what the NFL was. Nobody in my family had any idea what football was, so we weren't watching football really growing up. I
Yeah.
was watching, if anything, I was watching cartoons and wrestling and
Right.
whatever, and then football bit me later. But my brother got me into it. He's no longer here, God rest his soul. But my brother started playing, started getting into football heavily in junior high, and his influence rubbed on me. We started talking about the 49ers more, and so like the first year I really, really became a big, big fan. It was my junior high year where the 49ers beat the Bengals in the Super Bowl. And after that, we had, beat the Broncos. We had the back-to-back Super Bowl. So I got to watch Montana when he was still pretty good. And then, the tail end, he kind of tailed off a bit and got hurt, and then Young took over.
Yeah.
So that's how I became a fan. And definitely thankful that I became a Niner fan. And growing up in the Bay Area was a big part of it too, of course. Favorite 49ers players. I got to go with Jerry Rice on that one. On offense, without a
Same.
doubt. Usually I'm all about the defensive linemen in the trenches, probably, I'd say. And I love O-linemen too, but defense, I'd have to go with Ronnie Lott. Ronnie Lott was the man when I was watching football. When I started getting into the Niners, Ronnie Lott was just like, whenever it was like, how like, well, back in the day when I was growing up, you'd get a little wad of paper and try to shoot in the trash can. You say, Jordan. But when Kobe Bryant passed away, everybody was tweeting out, "Oh, well, when you throw a Kobe." See, I didn't even know that people said Kobe. I watched Kobe all throughout his career, but I didn't know. I was always used to saying Jordan. That's all I know.
Yeah.
But anyways, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I made the analogy because when we used to play around with my friends or whatever, and we used to run up to each other and hit each other, I'd be like, Ronnie Lott, boom, and like we'd always do that to each other. Ronnie Lott was known as the hitter in the NFL.
Yeah. Too bad I wasn't around when those great players were playing, but I have watched Super Bowls that they played in. I have watched games. Definitely was exciting for sure. And then back to real quick before we move on, Kobe and Jordan. Kobe was known to, he even said, I modeled my game after Jordan a lot. So
it was pretty obvious.
Obvious. That saying, yes, obviously came from that.
And the jerseys. Which jerseys? I don't have too many jerseys. I was actually planning on buying. I have a friend of mine who sells these jerseys, and planning on buying some recently. But I need to get some new jerseys because the last jerseys I bought were Jimmy Garoppolo, and I'm looking to move on for those. But I have two Jimmy jerseys. Yeah. All right, and before that, I bought a Patrick Willis. I still have an older Frank Gore, and I also have an older Willis before that, the older style. And my first jersey ever was Garrison Hearst. I love Garrison Hearst.
Yes, nice. What's up, Camper and Bashar? That's David McNew. What's up, David McNew?
What up, David?
Yeah, so let's move on to the next topic. We'll take your questions probably after each topic, maybe take a quick round, but we have a lot to get through today. So, but stick around. We'll try to get to all of your comments and questions. So next one is you all been wanting now. I know Jimmy Garoppolo's our starting quarterback this year. Again, he didn't have a great performance against the Broncos last week. I just think that he did play a lot better against the Rams. What are your honest assessment of Jimmy Garoppolo's performance? And another one, should Kyle run the ball more? Because last week, we only ran it Jeff Wilson Jr. 15 times, and then that was like literally our only back running the ball, except from Debo twice. So really not running the ball much. So what is your honest
Jimmy
assessment?
G, for the record, I am now labeled as a huge Jimmy G hater. as if I'm like Grant Cohn on steroids or something. I'm like, wait, I'm so much more lenient towards the players than a lot of other content creators are. Like, why am I getting this label? I've had people threaten me in DMs as of late. Oh, don't you dare disrespect my quarterback and F you, and you keep running your mouth. I'm like, what? Like, I like to call it down the middle. I like to call it as it is. If a player does good and does great, hey, all praise due to that player. I'll praise that player. If they do bad and they're underperforming, you're going to hear from me. I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm sorry. If that's the pretty picture that you want, don't watch my videos. That's all I got to say about that. Case in point, Jimmy Garoppolo. He played, obviously, his worst game in that Broncos game. One of the worst games that we've probably seen from him. Now,
from the offense in general. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, the offense in general, of course. Yeah. And Kyle has some blame for that. I get it. But what I hated was because I'm very pro Trey Lance. What I hated was all the people who praise Jimmy G like crazy as if he's perfect did not want to give any ounce of blame to Jimmy, and it was all Kyle's fault all of a sudden. Like, no. If Jimmy messes up and he screws up, you have to put some blame on him. I'm sorry about that. Yeah. So obviously Jimmy plays a really bad game. Now people were asking me, oh, well, do we have a shot against the Rams? And I'm like, what's your prediction? I was like, okay, my prediction is 2014. We win. No, how could you say that? Trent Williams is going to be out. How can you say that? Jimmy G played terrible. Jimmy G sucks. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look. How have we been winning games these past few years with Jimmy? In general, this team has pretty much carried him. Not that he's been a world beater and we've won games because of him, but as long as he's been the Jimmy that we know, for the most part, we can win games with him. And our defense right now is obviously arguably better than any defense Jimmy has ever had. Now, the running game isn't the best running game we've had. And you mentioned Jeff Wilson Jr. not getting the ball that much. Now, here's my thing. Jeff Wilson Jr., he looked excellent on that run. I give him all the credit in the world. I hated what I saw from him in that Bears game. I don't know what was wrong with him in that Bears game. I know the weather was garbage and it sucked. I get that. But the Bears running back was doing better than our guys were, basically.
Right.
But Wilson's starting to come around now. But at the end of the day, he's not a bell cow. He's not that guy. That's true.
None of the running backs we have are bell cows. Go
ahead. When does Jeff Wilson Jr. ever play a good 4 quarters of football where you can rely on all 4 quarters?
True.
Why do we have all these running backs and we're not spreading out the carries? I don't understand why we're not distributing the carries. If we did, we could actually run the ball a bit more, take more pressure off of Jimmy's hands so he doesn't turn the ball over, screw things up, and he could be the game manager, that we all know of Jimmy. So that's my take on the whole thing with the offense and with Jimmy and how he's playing. I make no bones about it though. Jimmy's not. I mean, what is he, like a top 22, top 23, top 25 quarterback? Maybe from 20 to 25, they're all about the same. So that's where I stand with the guy. And I'm all about Trey Lance. I want to move away from Jimmy and go with Trey Lance next year, regardless of what we do this season.
Yeah, I think in that Rams game, and you're totally right. I can completely agree. I think in that Rams game, he did what he needed to do. He managed a game, which I know a lot of people are saying this, but there were some still mistakes that could have gone for interceptions if some of the Rams players could have been slightly earlier on one play, so he wasn't perfect. But this was the most perfect game we've seen from him in a while. That play where Debo turned it into 60 yards. That play, if you look back at the film, number 6, which is the guy that almost got the interception, I believe it was number 6. He jumped that route. I think that play, Debo Samuel, it was a design play to Debo Samuel because one guy was setting a screen on the player on the corner that Debo Samuel was getting covered by, and then Debo Samuel was running that quick slant. And as soon as Jimmy Garoppolo hikes the ball, you're seeing his eyes were going to Debo Samuel right away. So one mistake he made on that play, and I saw quite a bit from in the Rams game, was when he has that first read. Debo Samuel was his first read. He tends to snake eye the guy. As soon as he hacked the ball, he looked at Debo Samuel right away, and the corner knew it was going to him. So there are mistakes like that. Luckily, Debo Samuel, it was high. Luckily, he jumped up and caught it. But there are mistakes where that could have been an interception, man. So yeah,
Yeah, a lot of
not
people thought
perfect.
it could be a pick six. My friend Ryan from No Border Sports was like, he said
Shout out.
Debo said that he said Debo had to intercept the ball from the Rams defender on that play.
Yeah, that's
as
true.
if Jim threw like a pass to the cornerback or whatever. And on that play, when the dude jumped the route, there was another guy next to him, and both of them were completely out of the play once Debo caught it. So that's like now Debo only has to worry about 9 defenders to get away from him. Just the blocks down the field. Kittle threw. I think Kittle took out 2 guys or 3 guys on that play. It was really nice. And Ayuk at the very end took out the other guy, and
Oh
just
yeah,
the run
pancaked
after the
him.
catch, the explosive. A lot of people were saying that Debo looks kind of
That
slower
was nice.
coming into camp this year, and he's fatter, and he looked pretty damn fast and in shape in this past game. That's all I know. And keep
Oh
throwing
yeah,
him the ball. Use him as a wide receiver. This wide back stuff is killing me. I don't want to see it. And and now on the outside zones, I'm okay with it, but let's stop making Debo Samuel who he's not. He's not Jerome Bettis. I know he can
yeah,
break tackles for a wide receiver, but I don't want to see him do it as a running back right up the middle of
right.
the defense. I don't.
Well, and against this game, real quick to quickly cover, or like I'll quickly take my say my take on the run game, and you're saying don't use him as a running back. The Panthers do have a pretty good run game, allowing 4.1 yards to running backs, which is pretty average. But last week they shut down the Cardinals running backs, 3.6 yards per carry. I think there has to be a wrinkle because, again, except from that Jeff Wilson Jr. Big run that was like 40 yards or 30 yards, he really didn't do that great. He averaged 4.1 yards per carry, but that was with that huge run off of like 15 carries. So he didn't look great. I think you have to, if you're Kyle Shanahan and if you're the genius that everyone speaks of, this is what I want to see from Kyle. I want to see him add another wrinkle to that run game because I have a feeling without Elijah Mitchell, Jeff Wilson Jr. is okay, but you need to add a wrinkle to that run game. Either it's like it might be giving it to Debo in the flat, a lot of screens, which is what they did last week. So you have to do something, especially when we play the Chiefs or an more elite defense.
Yeah, just gonna say this Jim Foster guy is just totally spamming the living daylights out of the chat. I don't know what happened to
Oh
everybody else,
yeah,
but
I've been up in the. Oh wow,
sorry
wow.
to mention and bring his
No,
name
no,
up,
you're
but
good.
yeah.
You're good. You're good. I'll get so yeah. If you have anything else to say
Oh
on that,
yeah, yeah, I sure do.
we
I mean, who's the other guy? Who were the running backs that were activated last year? I'm pretty sure Marlon Mack was activated last week, right?
yeah.
And why am I obviously TDP is out. I was really curious to see what TDP could do. Tyrion Davis Price,
Mhm.
and then he had a pretty good run against the Seahawks, and then he gets injured. It's like our guy. It's like we know what the obvious injuries are. Like when you watch a game and you see obviously Trey Lance where he gets hit and he can't get up, or you'll see moments in games where people get hit really hard and they can't get up or they're limping off the field. But the injuries that kill me the most, to be honest, and it happens a lot with this team, is you'll
Yeah.
see the guy in the game doing just fine, and he looks like he never got hurt once on a play. And next thing you know, like when the game's over, oh yeah, this guy's going to be out like 7 weeks. Like what happened? I never saw him get hurt. Like
Yeah.
so we have a lot of that going on, and especially with the running back position. So I don't know who Kyle's going to activate for this game. A lot of Niner fans are really big on Jordan Mason.
Yeah.
He had that one carry and he looked like he hit the hole pretty quick, and we haven't seen him since. So please, Kyle, if you're watching, hey, running back by committee, it's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of Panthers, I will email you, Ben. I know a Panthers content creator who may be looking for a 49ers content creator to collab with on Friday. Thank you. I would love to do that. Let me see here.
One more
What?
thing, Jeff Wilson Jr. wasn't it in the previous game against the Broncos? Like he had a pretty decent long run, and then he didn't do much else. I forgot how long it was, but I remember seeing that in the Broncos game as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Wait, say that again. So real quick.
Didn't Jeff Wilson Jr. in the Broncos game also have like a long type of
Yes,
run?
he did.
And then he didn't do much else.
Yeah.
And Kyle talks about the hot hand and go with the hot hand, but like sure, if that guy's getting the nice long run, which is cool while he's in the game, I get it, but he's not really doing much else in terms of consistency. And it just I don't know why he's not mixing it up like he used to. We used to have different running backs that we'd mix up all the time.
Yeah, true. We definitely have seen that like with Elijah Mitchell last year. It was a lot on him and whatever. You make a very good point. So yeah, I definitely want to see that more because I believe that long run against the Broncos wasn't a touchdown, but it was like it set
Yeah, it
up
wasn't a TD.
I
Yeah.
think it was a set up a touchdown drive.
Yeah.
The real quick here. So let's get to some of the comments. Um, Jimmy Hater. She says, I think that she says that about you.
She knows Mariah, me and Mariah go way back, and we always
For
joke about that.
Yeah. 49er minded is 63 subs from 700. Please help him get to 700 by Halloween.
Okay, by
And then
Halloween, huh?
he says, let's get the camper report to 300 by Halloween. Yeah, I'm about 88 away, so that would be
Okay.
great. A long shot, but let's do it.
So skip the candy and get him the subs instead.
Yes. No trick or treating this year.
Are you gonna dress up for Halloween, or are you gonna?
No,
Are you past that? Okay.
Nah.
I always had fun going to Halloween parties, even into my 20s and 30s. But I didn't. It's been like a few years since I've actually done anything for Halloween. I'll be honest.
Yeah, no, we don't really make a big deal of it. Niners suck. Can only beat the Rams reserves. LOL. Okay. Oh, and this was all the spamming. Rams use you guys as a stepping stone to Super Bowl. That's true. Niners are trash 30. 30 years.
I don't know what he means by 30 years dry spell. Okay. I don't know who his team is. He has the Washington Commanders colors. Maybe he's a Commanders fan. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's funny. So yeah, guys.
Who is
wow,
this guy?
This goes on forever. Well, let's get to the next topic. Matthew Stafford. Speaking of Rams, we have a topic for you. So if you're definitely a Rams fan, stay around because Matthew Stafford. Let's talk Matthew Stafford. He's leading the league in interceptions. Your thoughts on the Rams' struggles? How he definitely has been dealing with injuries. That's become clear. So how concerned do you think the Rams are about Matthew Stafford's injuries? And is this going to affect their season? Because they should be worried.
What type of injuries is he currently sustaining, though? That's what I need to know.
Well, and that's the thing. There was an elbow injury in.
Okay, I do remember that elbow injury. Okay,
in training camp. But here's the thing: is I do think that there's been a lot of like stories over the years, and this was brought up by another podcaster a few days ago. I believe it was Mike Florio. That a lot of people say that he just doesn't. He has a very high pain tolerance, and he's not going to tell anybody if he has an injury. And Matthew Stafford in the past has been really good. When he's healthy.
Oh, with the Lions,
yeah, and I think he's always been dealing with injuries his whole career. He just doesn't go out a lot. So this seems to be an injury. I think the elbow probably is sticking around. I mean, if it's true he has elbow tendonitis, that takes a long time to go away. So it might be the injuries. It might just be he's hitting a rough spot like he did last year. But yeah, what are your thoughts on their struggles? I mean, this could lead them to not making the playoffs. I mean, they're definitely.
I mean, what do they call the Super Bowl hangover or something? I mean, had we just had a quarterback that was a little bit better than Jimmy in that playoff game, we'd probably be in the Super Bowl, possibly Super Bowl champions. Trey Lance, maybe, who knows, but we don't know what would have happened because Jimmy was playing in that game. And I'll be honest, when Matthew Stafford was available, I was one of the proponents of trying to bring him in. I thought it would have helped us a whole lot, but and some Niner fans agree with me. Some of them didn't because they were trying to say that Matthew Stafford was a loser. Look at his losing record in Detroit. And my argument was Detroit's a loser. They're a losing organization. They screwed over Barry Sanders. They destroyed Barry Sanders' career. With any other team, he would have possibly won a Super Bowl. Who was the other? Megatron. They messed up Megatron's career too. And they also messed up Matthew Stafford's career. And Matthew Stafford, I mean, we're talking about a guy who on the damn Detroit Lions of all teams in his third season. Look at his career stat line right now. 5,000 yards, 41 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. That's not something that a normal anybody who sucks can never put up those numbers. I'm sorry. And he put up pretty similar numbers last year, 41 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. So, but right now his stat line, he's got 4 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Right now his stat line is looking a lot like Jimmy G's stat line when it comes to playoff time. So he's not looking he's not looking too hot right now. Not looking too hot. Is it the elbow? It could be some other stuff that's lingering. Does this last throughout the season? A lot of question marks. We don't know. I think the Rams will definitely stick around this year, though. They're not going to be duds or anything like that. They'll be in the hunt, unless they just have some injuries and they just totally just flop for whatever reason. Some Super Bowl winning teams do that.
Yeah, that's true. I think there was something that said Odell Beckham's coming, but like I believe Sean McVay in his presser when he was asked about it, he said Odell Beckham, like he hinted at them getting Odell Beckham if they do get Odell Beckham, because he still has to pass a physical. But when he does get it past a physical, and I mean it makes perfect sense for them to get Odell Beckham. I think they need him. He needs them. He can come back for cheap, whatever. That could help them because Allen Robinson hasn't been what I was high on Allen Robinson when they got him. He hasn't been what we expected him to be. Now they're just basically leaning on Cooper Kupp. I mean, 19 freaking targets last week against the Niners, 14 catches. Like, that is their offense. They need to Sean McVay, I don't care if he might be your only offensive weapon. You have to find a way to get other guys open, because that's insane, and that's going to either get a player injured or your team's going to get shut down very quickly. Now, Cooper Kupp's a great player, and he's always going to get his catches, but you have to take some heat off of Cooper Kupp. And Matthew Stafford, I mean, yeah, he's going to get, if they do get Odell Beckham, he is going to get helped out by that. But this could be a team that might not make the playoffs, because if they don't win the division, it's looking like this NFC West isn't going to be very good. So they might not even get a playoff wild card spot if they keep playing like this.
And the interesting about Matthew Stafford's stat line, it was 32 completions against us, but only for 254 yards. Like, usually Matthew Stafford, every now and then, will get a nice ball down the field, and the stat line will look pretty good in terms of completion percentage, and not percentage, but yards per completion or whatever.
Right.
So our defense did an excellent job that night against them. And I mean, I talk about, there were times where, now what Stafford was doing that was pretty nice was avoiding the pass rush from time to time and getting the ball off. Honestly, he should have got sacked like 12 times in that game.
That O-line was so bad.
Oh yeah.
It was 7 sacks. It was 7 sacks.
There
I believe
you go.
It was 2 to Beckham, 2 to Bosa, one to what's
Lenore,
his name?
Demo.
Yeah,
Lenore.
one to Lenore, one to Ridgeway, and then one to, I believe it was
Drake Jackson, I think.
Drake Jackson, I believe. Yeah,
I love the fact that we got Drake Jackson.
Yeah, involved. Yeah, I got him involved in that game. Yeah, so I mean, one more thing before we leave this topic, though, and I do think this is important to mention as well. He has to, like last year, they started off like they said, oh, the Rams struggled last year as well. But if you remember, the Rams actually started off pretty good. They were 3-0 or 3-1 or whatever. So they started off pretty good. Definitely didn't struggle. It was the middle of the season when they actually started struggling. So this is a little bit different of a situation to last year. I get the argument of a lot of Rams fans, but this is slightly different of a situation, and they need to figure it out. So,
yeah, I mean, it's a 17-game season, so they'll have plenty of time to try to get better. So I'm not going to write them off just yet.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about, this is the top or the headliner of our show. Very interesting headliner. Well, Talanoa Hufanga absolutely coming out of nowhere this year. And if he keeps playing like this, he's probably going to be, well, most likely, no, not even close, going to be a Pro Bowler, and is also going to be, what is that other, is it, no, it's not All-American. Oh my gosh.
All Pro. He has a chance to be an All Pro, yeah. So All Pro, just having a great season so far. Everywhere you look, he's all over the field. Was this the best pick in that draft that he was picked 2 years ago? And I can quickly name you some of the draft picks. I think I have them right here. It was so it was Aaron Banks, Trey Lance, Aaron Banks, Sermon, Ambry Thomas, Jaylen Moore, and then you got to Lenore, and then Mitchell. And so, yeah, so those were the picks that they had in that draft. There was a few good ones, but what are your thoughts? What are was he the best pick? Best pick of that draft so far?
Yeah.
Well, right now he looks like it, but I'm still holding out on Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance has the he has the opportunity to be a franchise player. It's unfortunate that he's on the shelf right now, and that sucks. But when Hufanga was drafted, I knew about him because a couple friends of mine, one of them was an SC fan. He kept talking about him, and it opened my eyes to him. He said, "Oh, there's this kid coming out from USC, and he's a hitter." And he said he was a safety, and I was thinking back in my head, okay, well, USC has put out some great safeties. We're talking about Ryan Locke came from USC, great safety. Tim McDonald, another great 49ers safety. Joey Browner, who played for the Vikings. Another one, Troy Polamalu, Dennis Smith. I think Browner didn't play for USC, but I could be wrong. He may have played for them. Somebody can look that up in the chat. And then I remember Taylor Mays was coming out. We thought he was going to be great, but he wasn't. He wasn't in the NFL. But, there's a lot of great USC safeties coming out. So I was thinking, okay, cool. Maybe this guy has a shot. Then, we drafted him. I was like, okay, cool. Great. Because I watched this guy. Some friends of mine were telling me about him. They were thinking he might have been a first or second rounder in terms of talent. And we get him in the 5th round. Great value. I was hyping him up, telling people, hey, watch out for this guy, Troy Polamalu, because he's a hitter coming out of USC. And not Troy Polamalu, Talanoa Hufanga. I said, but he's being mentored by Troy Polamalu all this time, and he's showing him every step of the way. Watch out for this guy. And people were like, this one guy, he's claiming to be a Niner fan from New York, was just arguing with me the whole time. He's like, no, he's never going to be a Troy Polamalu. He's never going to be a Troy. I'm like, no, I'm just saying he's possibly going to be good. He has a potential to be good. I'm not saying he's going to be a Hall of Famer. But lo and behold, though, what were we hearing in camp? Rohan, shout out to Rohan Chakravarthi. He was at practice a lot, all the training camp practices, and he kept tweeting out that Talanoa Hufanga was like the first guy to step on the practice field, the last guy to leave the practice field. Right off the bat, I heard in the mini camps, like Talanoa Hufanga before the snaps in mini camps and training camp, he was directing traffic. Hey, you go over here. Hey, you line up there. Like when a safety takes command of the defense like that, that's telling you that he's taking the next step. Now, I wasn't sitting there telling everybody, oh, watch, Talanoa Hufanga is going to be an all-pro this year. Or he's going to be potentially all-pro. I was just saying, like, watch, I think he's going to be pretty good this year. And what we knew off the bat already from him is that he's instinctual. What were we missing when we had Tart in the lineup all that time? A steady safety, right? But he wasn't making the big plays. In case in point, he drops that, would-be INT in the Cowboy game. A lot of people were bummed out about that. I'm not going to be too hard on them for that. But in general, what's the only play people remember Hufanga for? What? That one-handed interception and then the one play where he stripped the ball out of Metcalf's hands. Other than that, you don't really think of Tart as a Niner in his career as a Niner as the big playmaker. But we got Hufanga, and boom, and right away, in that playoff game, he picked, it's on special team. Yeah, he picks up the touchdown. Yeah. That ball flew 100 feet in the air, and you're watching TV like, where's the ball?
Yeah. They're all like standing around. They're like, and then it just drops right in front of you. Like God just picked up the ball.
I don't think anybody on TV could see where the ball went. I don't think the players even knew where the went. But Hufanga, out of all people, got it. He just has that instinct, that knack for the big play. But I wasn't telling everybody he's just going to be an all-pro potential player in his first year as a starter. So I'm just really excited about Hufanga. His jerseys are selling like crazy. I did a poll today because I kept getting these advertisements pop up on my Twitter feeds, on my Facebook feeds, and my Instagram. It would highlight these Talanoa Hufanga jerseys for sale. So it's like the hot ticket, the hot item, and I clicked on it, and it's like almost sold out on every outlet there is. So it's great to have a potentially future Ronnie Lott type guy on this team for many years to come, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, and they use him in so many different ways. Like they can blitz him. He's fast off of the line. You'll see him light up a running back. When the running back's going up the middle, he'll just come from the edge and go boom, like take him out of the game. Like he'll take that player out of the game. And so hard hitter, he's everywhere. He commands plays, like you said. They can use him everywhere. And again, you compare him, Trey Lance is still very unproven. Aaron Banks has been playing well. Funny stat about Aaron Banks, 0 penalties allowed. Zero penalties, 0 sacks allowed. And he's played 250 snaps. So Aaron Banks actually been pretty solid this year. But
I gave Aaron Banks the game ball, by the way. They asked me who I thought my favorite player was in this past game. I gave it to Aaron Banks if I was a coach.
Yeah, no, he's come in and done pretty well. And then Sermon's off the team. Ambry is benched. He's a backup now, and he wasn't great last year. Jaylen Moore obviously now our starter for a few weeks. We'll see with him. And Lenore solid. Mitchell's injured. And so, yeah, I would say right now, yes, he absolutely is. So
and how about Hufanga though? Because I remember one big knock on him. Why a lot of people doubted on him. They said everybody kept saying he can't cover. He's slow. He ran a 4.65 40 or something like that. But every time I saw, even last year, I noticed this too. Like whenever he was up against the line of scrimmage, like and he does that thing where he times the snap and jumps the snap and tackles the running back behind the line of scrimmage. It's like I think I'm watching those BBC documentaries of like lions attacking the predator, their prey or whatever, and it's awesome to watch. And he never looked slow to me. And then now when he got that freaking pick six, they clocked him at 21 miles an hour. Like, is his speed really a question now? Is it? I mean, who cares about his 40 time? I don't.
Yeah. I mean, that was a big knock on him, but he looks fast on the field. Maybe it's just instinctually fast. And you can be fast, but it's no point like running. Like you can be fast, but if you don't know where you're going, then what's the point of the speed? So you have to be able to use that speed as well.
We've drafted plenty of players who ran 4.3 40s and amounted to nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome all 49ers fans to the stream. Yep, thank you for that. Watching around that world.
And this Grandizer guy's awesome, man. I like him.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Regular on the show. First came in when I had Payo Time on. Shout out Payo Time. Let's see here. Jim Foster, Rams will win 3 rings in 5 years.
Yeah, we know who his team is.
Yeah. So franchise, turns out this is Big Play Slay.
I know that is. What's up?
And
Big Play Slay.
He changed his name. So shout out to you. Had him on the show before. Great guy, great content. So go follow franchise. He says, "What's good, y'all? This is Slay. Changed my name. What up, Ben and Bashar?" And then No Border Sports. You were just talking about him like 20 minutes ago.
I forgot why I mentioned him. Something that he brought up in the previous show, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, shout out to him.
Yeah, we did. We collab on 49ers First Takes channel on Monday, so we always I always have something to say about some quote that he brought up or whatever,
Yeah. And then Ben and Bashar, B&B, or Ben and Bash. Those are some good names.
It reminds me of Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah, in the future, we'll think about that. But let's get to the next topic. Should the 49ers be treating Javon Kinlaw as a first round pick? And the reason why I say this is he's had a lot of injuries, but should they be treating him as a guy who was their first round pick? Like, should they move on from this pick? Should they say, whatever we get out of him, it's fine, whatever. But yeah, should they be treating him as a first round pick?
They treat him as a first round pick, and I don't know what you consider treating him as a first round pick is, I guess. But the way I look at it
right away.
Yeah, I got you. What year did we draft him? Why am I forgetting the exact year? I was like 2020, the 2020 draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember when they drafted him, he was all excited. He was like, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir." And I was like, "Oh, it's great to see somebody pumped up to be drafted by the Niners." I believe his dad's a 49er fan, and he just looks like a monster. He's just so buff and so big, and but yeah, he's got his joints aren't really that great. So he's got that knee issue, and I don't want to sound like Grant Cohn or anything like that, but I don't want him to come after me either. But but after this season, let's be honest though. I mean, after this season, if it's the same old of Javon Kinlaw being in and out of the lineup and not really making his mark, I mean, what, we give him one more shot? I don't know what. I mean, it's just tough. I mean, like I mentioned No Border Sports, and we do the NWO thing with Aaron 49ers First Takes, and we brought this up. We were talking about Kinlaw a little bit too there, and it's like you were thinking like Ryan was saying that let's not draft any defensive tackles in the first round anymore, and I was saying the only guy I would have made an exception on was Jordan Davis, because I just think he's just this gigantic mountain of a man who runs a damn 350 pounds and he was a 4.8 40. How does that happen? I don't
Yeah.
know. He won the genetic lottery. If he ends up being a bust, and then there's a problem right there. But I don't think he'll be a bust. But Kinlaw, just I don't know, man. I mean, he just looks like a beast. He looks like he'll be so good, and from time to time he'll show a little flashes here and there whenever he gets to play, but definitely not enough flashes. That's for sure. But the reason why I brought up Ryan and them because we were just talking about how we shouldn't draft defensive linemen in the first round, like people, because people were bugging out about the whole losing Buckner thing. A lot of people were pulling their hair out over it. Now, was I happy about it? No, but I was also honestly, I was one of those guys saying, "Hey, look, we have Chris Kosaric, he's a great D line coach. We still have some pretty good D linemen. I think we'll find a way to overcome this loss of Buckner."
Right.
And lo and behold, we still had a pretty good defensive line without him, and that's with Kinlaw not even panning out, even though we made that pick. And I was just saying, we were talking about how, man, what if we just had not drafted Kinlaw? We went for Tristan Wirfs. We wouldn't have to worry about the O-line so much, and we'd have this awesome plug and play tackle that we could talk about in terms of solidifying our O-line and for the future or whatever. And it's like, hopefully we can get somebody with that type of talent. Offensive for me right now, like for the precedents, offensive tackles, and again, Ryan was saying this, and offensive tackles over defensive tackles in the first round, whenever we do get back in the first round, or at least the second round, somebody who's talented, because we don't need to draft defensive tackles anymore. We find a way to make these guys work in our system. You can plug and throw Hyder in there. We got Ridgeway from free agency. Givens, who we got. I don't think Givens was even drafted.
Ridgeway.
Yeah, it's like these guys that we just throw in there. They're productive. They don't have to be all pros. They don't have to be like Aaron Donalds or anything like that. But they find a way to make it work. So again, Ryan, shout out to you, bro. Yeah, let's not draft defensive tackles in the first round, please. Let's not do that anymore. And Kinlaw, I'm just like indifferent with him right now. I don't hate him. I don't love him. I want him to be successful, but it's like whatever with him.
Yeah, that's true. And again, we have so much depth, like you said, that we haven't. It's the same thing that I go back with running backs as well. Like, why the heck do we keep drafting running backs in the third round? Like, it's pointless. I think it is pointless.
Honestly, with the running backs
come later.
Go ahead. With running backs, though, because you're right, our good ones do come later. But I now, prior to drafting Sherman, I used to always say, like, just imagine if we drafted a running back with a high ceiling, what we could do with this offense, because we throw in these no-name running backs and we get all this nice production out of them.
Right.
Why not get a running back with a high ceiling? Supposedly Sermon was one of those guys, but I was rooting for the guy, but it just did not pan out, and Jordan Mason beat him out, I guess, but yet we're not using him, so
yeah,
who knows? And hopefully TDP pans out, but he's hurt, and yeah, I'm not really big on drafting running backs that high either now. So
yeah, I'm a little bit more concerned about Armstead because he usually doesn't get injured in his career, and this is a pretty big injury. So, well, not big, but like it's an injury that could linger. So I'm a little more concerned about him because it's like he's a little more of an integral part to our defense. But we've been doing good without him. So as long as we can keep this up, I mean, our run game has been pretty good without him. So, yeah. Grandizer coming in here. If you both recall, it was free safety Isaiah Paula Mayo, whatever it was, who was the big name guy. He is on the Raiders practice squad, while Hufanga is making the most of his time in a starter role. Awesome. So I guess there was two safeties coming out of that.
Okay. They always say USC is like a safety was factory basically. So
that's true.
But when players go to the Raiders, it doesn't turn out too great from time to time though.
Yeah, true. But let's get to keys against the Panthers. This is our next game. We've teased this throughout the show. Might as well get to all the news first and the topics from last game and just big picture stuff. Now let's get down to this game, previewing a little bit of this game. What are your keys to this game? I mean, there's a lot of things that could go wrong for this team, but we're in high spirits. A lot of 49ers fans are in high spirits after a win against the Rams.
Keys to the game, as far as, I mean, it's more of me just wanting to get certain players involved.
Right.
I mean, what do we hear coming out of camp? Brandon Ayuk is the most, it'd be the players and the coaches, I believe, agree that Brandon Ayuk coming out of the camp was the most dominant player. And this is the team who has Trent Williams and Bosa as extremely dominant, highly ranked players, but yet Ayuk was it, and Debo coming off an amazing season, and then, but we haven't really seen much from Ayuk. Not that Ayuk's doing bad, but we got to get him the ball. People can complain that I rag on Jimmy all the time or whatever, but I'm sorry. What are we doing with a great talent like that? We got a great talent like that. Our quarterback has to throw him the ball. What do we see? We see Ayuk cooking up people. Who was he? Cooked up Jalen Ramsey, and then he's like jumping up and down, kind of pounding that he didn't get the ball thrown his way. And I think that was the play that we threw to Kittle, and then Kittle didn't, drag his feet properly or something.
Yeah,
but
true.
But in any case, get Ayuk involved, please. That would be very nice. That would be a beautiful thing. I would mention, I was just thinking about Danny Gray. I said I would mention Danny Gray, but we never activated him because Jimmy doesn't throw the long ball. But another name, obviously, is Kittle. Let's give him the ball. Let's find ways to get him involved in the passing game.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do with that one. Sure, I do appreciate his blocking a whole lot, and I love the fact that he's so passionate about blocking. We all love that, but again, we need. He's excellent in the passing game when used properly. So. And we're paying him for that, so let's use him for that.
Yeah, true. Another reason why I say don't put Deebo Samuel in the flat, give it to him in the flat, because when he does go outside, he's going to be facing. This is a big matchup, and I think J.C. Horn will probably be up against Ayuk most of the game, but also Deebo when he's outside. When targeted, 45 passer rating, and just not targeted a whole ton in general, but when he is targeted, really he's turned out to be a pretty solid running back. And again, this Broncos defense has actually been pretty good against quarterbacks. 83.1 rate. Well, last week against Kyler, he had 6.5 yards per attempt, which isn't great versus they allowed 6.5 yards per attempt versus Kyler. So they have a pretty good pass defense. That now they have played the Saints, the Giants, the Browns. So not that great quarterbacks, but I mean, I guess J.C. Horn, you have to avoid that. Jimmy has to avoid that, but they do play Jalen Ramsey twice a year, so I'm not too worried about that. Their run game, Panthers are good at the run. Like I said before, 4.1 yards per carry. That's pretty average, but last week against the Cardinals were even better. Now, the Cardinals don't have as good of a run game as us, but again, you have to find ways to get the ball out of Jimmy's hands quick. To get creative, I think, with the running game is going to be really key. We'll see what happens there. And then how to deal with Brian Burns. We've already said that. I mean, I could see George Kittle doing a lot of blocking in this game, but you have to get him out. I mean, at least a few plays per game, you have to get him out, get him some targets. And maybe this is just, maybe the 49ers have realized, oh, George Kittle's lost a little bit of juice, and that's why they don't target him the ball as much. Maybe that's why as well.
I'm not sure if he's lost any juice, but maybe it's because of the groin injury. I don't know. Maybe that slowed him down a little bit. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they might know something that we don't. So that might be the reason why he may have lost some juice currently in this early stage of the season. You mentioned the Panthers running game. Yeah, I'm looking up the stats right now because I know Christian McCaffrey, who is pretty good. It's just his problem is he's just not healthy.
And he might actually miss this week. I don't think he will, but he did miss a day of practice. I believe it was yesterday. So that's good news for the 49ers. I mean, this will probably be the best. This will absolutely be the best defense they've faced. And then, obviously, this will be the best running back that the 49ers have faced throughout the season. I don't see any other one that's been better than CMC. So,
yeah, I mean, I was at the Panthers 49ers game when the 49ers just completely blew the doors off of them. The game that Bosa had that big interception that should have been a pick six off of their no-name quarterback, who I forgot who that quarterback was that was on the Panthers at the time. He was some fill-in guy, backup guy. Mm-hmm. But McCaffrey actually had even though the Niners had a huge beatdown, McCaffrey still had a pretty good game. I watched McCaffrey at Stafford, and we all know what he can do. So just because, like I was saying earlier, just because people think the Panthers suck, it doesn't mean that it's a gimme that is that we're going to beat them or that they're not going to give us problems. So, but hey, our defense is pretty awesome though.
Yeah. As far as offensively, and that's where I think our defense is going to be able to come away, because except from that running back, they really haven't been great in the passing game. I know they have Baker Mayfield, but you know what we can do against him. And their receivers, I mean, Moore is okay, but he, I think, had 11 targets last week, 6 receptions, but both of Baker Mayfield had 2 picks last week against the Cardinals, and the Cardinals defense isn't even that good. But 2 picks against the Cardinals, and both of those picks came on when he was targeting his number 1 receiver, Moore. So I don't know. I don't think there's going to be much. You just have to shut down Christian McCaffrey. And last week I think he had 9 carries for like 28 yards. So I don't think this offense for the Panthers will be doing much.
Yeah, I mean, Baker Mayfield's going to have it in, because like what Bosa just loves to go after Baker Mayfield, and our secondary is just playing lights out. It's just going to be a much better, stronger defense and much stronger secondary that Baker's going to face. So we'll see how many picks we can come up with this week. It might be a pretty fun game to watch.
True. And let's see if the offense can finally get on a roll. But
that'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Yes, there was 2 safeties out of USC, but Pola Mayo was the one who seemed to get all the attention. Just stopping by to say what's good. I don't know if I've seen you in the chat before, so
I think this guy comes on my channel. I think it comes on my channel a lot. LQ. If I'm not mistaken, let me know if you're the same guy. I think it's the same guy who I ran into from the 95.7 Morning Rose chat. If that's the same guy, what's up, bro?
Yeah, what's up? Salute to you. 3 keys to beating the Panthers. We kind of already did that. And then we'll get to some the ways they could exploit us on offense in just a second. Ayuk was going to have a big season with Trey. I believe that. I do. He only had 4 targets last week, so obviously not used
That's
that
really
much.
bad. Yeah, I mean, Ayuk spent a lot of time in the offseason working with Trey Lance, and they have a rapport, man. There's that picture of like Trey Lance on crutches and Ayuk saying, shaking hands with him, and then there was some, I don't know whose house it was at, but I believe Debo and Ayuk were there, and Trey Lance is in the background watching them play basketball or something. So yeah. I'm a bit, again, I don't know how much I have to say, but I'm really hyped up about seeing Trey Lance next year and in the future, even though a lot of Niner fans out there are just completely anti Trey Lance for whatever reason. I don't know why. Yeah. But that's for next year.
Yeah, true. And again, I think that's another player that I think I want them to see. If you want to do end arounds with Ayuk, why not use Ayuk, not Debo? Like he has proven to be pretty good at that. Maybe use him in the flat a little bit. So that's another way that you could get him a little bit more involved.
Remember in Ayuk's rookie year that we had we were running him on a little bit of those jet sweeps and stuff like that, and we stopped doing it.
Yeah, I don't know. Add that wrinkle to this system, and that's another thing in this game. Like, it can go both ways, but especially with the 49ers offense, don't become one-dimensional. And then on the other side, don't make the Panthers team go one-dimensional with CMC. Because like we saw it with the Rams last week, is Cooper Kupp. Yeah, they targeted him a ton. He had a ton of catches, but they shut down the whole entire team. So you can make a team become one-dimensional, and there is such a thing as a team leaning on their star a little too much. So
totally agree. And for the record, the LQ guy said he is the same guy. So it's that guy I know from the 95.7 the game chat. Really good dude.
Yeah, SF 49ers versus Carolina Panthers. The 2 teams have met each other 22 times, including 1 postseason game, with the 49ers winning 9 games and the Panthers winning 13 games. Wow, they lead series 13-9. Dang.
I remember early on when the Panthers first became a team, I was so irritated at how they were beating the 49ers from time to time. It was so irritating to watch. I was like, how are we losing to this damn expansion team? But hopefully for years to come, the Niners find a way to take over that and get the winning edge on that record.
Totally. He got plenty of juice.
Talk about Kittle.
Yeah. The line, 49ers favored by 6.5, over under is 39. Thank you for that, because we didn't get to quick. We can go rapid fire because I know we're nearing an hour and we still have one more topic to get to. But over under, just rapid fire. Do you think it's over or under for this game?
Oh, we cover that spread. Oh, the over under means combined points?
Yeah.
I'm not a big over-under guy in terms of
Yeah.
predicting such
It's a
things.
yeah.
39. I'd say under. I'll say under on that. I don't
Yeah,
see
because that
Carolina.
would
I don't see Carolina scoring much.
yeah, and that each team is getting 19 points, 120.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I want to say over on this one, like slightly over, because I mean, last week it was 33. Ooh, I guess if we held them to like, and here's a crazy stat. Do you know the 49ers have not, and you probably know this, but this year, the 49ers have not allowed a team to score a touchdown in the first half?
Yeah, I did know that. And you
It's
reminded me
crazy.
because I almost forgot about it, but that's excellent. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. So defense is elite.
What when we gave up that blocked field goal against Seattle, I believe that was in the first half, but that's special teams. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So let's get to the last topic of the day. How will the 49 and we already kind of covered this, but how will the Panthers be able to exploit the Niners offense?
How they exploit the night. Well, the recipe for success against Jimmy G was what, stack the box. So make Jimmy a passer.
Yeah.
Especially, and if Kyle's going to be dumb, and how many times have we brought this up? I hate to sound like a broken record, but if Kyle's going to be stupid and keep going with Jeff Wilson Jr. as if he's Earl Campbell or Jim Brown, it's not going to be fun if they're able to stop our run, because they know one guy's going to be getting the ball the whole time, and we don't keep our running backs fresh. I don't know why. So yeah, they got to stop our run and stack the box and make Jimmy a passer and make Jimmy work.
Yeah. And that's basically it, make them one-dimensional. Like I said earlier, if their run game is really as good as it seems, and again, the 49ers run game, except from two big runs, well, one big run in each game against Broncos and Rams, our run game hasn't looked great. So if their run game's really as good as it seems, and again, here's one thing that I will bring up about the Panthers is that they haven't played a ton of good quarterbacks this year, but they have played good running backs. They've played Saquon and Chubb. So I think, and they've done pretty good against those guys. So I think that their run game is pretty legit, and that could bode bad for this 49ers team.
And both of those guys are way better than Jeff Wilson Jr. No knock on Jeff Wilson Jr. So Kyle really has to be creative about the run game this week. He's got to bump heads with Bobby Turner. He's got to bump heads with the other guy we have. Why am I blanking on his name? The former Charger guy, Anthony Lynn.
Oh, Anthony. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so they all got to just join their forces and figure out how creative they could be with this run game this coming week, on Sunday.
Yeah, so that seems to be all the end of the topics that we've got. Let's see. That's what we thought about the Bears. Every week is scary, to be honest. I'm not actually sure what we were
I'm not sure
about.
Could you clarify that, please? LQ, if you're still here.
Yeah, if you are. But anyways, guys, this has been a lot of fun. Clap it up for Bashar.
Clap it up for Camperman. You did a really good job, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't already, go subscribe to Bashar's channel, because there's a lot of good stuff coming out there. 49er Minded, at 49er Minded. The links are in the description, so go subscribe there, and then follow him on Twitter. I believe you have your Twitter handle up.
Yeah, it's always at 49er Minded. And if you go to Instagram and type 49er Minded, it's the same thing. So
yeah. So everyone, I'll probably be back on Saturday to maybe do some game picks and then maybe a call-in show. So join me then. I'll be back this Saturday, and this has been a lot of fun, guys. Talking Niners with 49er Minded first-time guests. So we'll see you guys again later. And yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I really appreciate you having me on, man, and appreciate the people in the chat too.
Yeah. And yeah, again, like you said, appreciate the chat. It was great tonight. A lot of interaction. Have a great, I think he's meaning evening, whatever. Thank you, everyone, for joining the Camper Report. Please hit the like and subscribe button and share. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. Healthy, and blessed. Blessed. Sorry. Rise up. Yeah.
Rise up.
We'll see you guys later.
See you guys. Thank you. Go Niners.